Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm George Latimer, Westchester County Executive, and I'm here to announce the latest appointment to our administration. I'm here with Deputy County Executive Ken Jenkins, and he'll say a few words as well in a few seconds. I'm very happy that Jim Maisano of Rochelle has agreed to join the administration as Director of Consumer Protection. I've known Jim for a long, long time. His 20-year career in the county legislature has been an example of what a person can do productively over an extended period of time when they understand what the provisions of government are, and also know and understand what the needs are of the people they represent. Jim and I in the county legislature had side-by-side districts. We worked cooperatively downstairs on issues of sewer repairs that affected his district and the district that I represented in those days of Larchmont, Mamaroneck, and Rye. He and I are in different political parties. We remain in different political parties, but we also have a shared commitment to wanting to help the people of Westchester County. And when I looked for this particular position, for an individual who would come in to direct this, I knew that Jim has terrific legal skills. He has shown that over time in his private practice, as well as his knowledge of the law in the crafting of legislation. And there are things that this department can do that involve future legislation for improvements. But it also involves how we go about helping people with very specific needs and problems. And there, his knowledge of the law, as well as his general intellect, will be extremely important to us. He has dealt with consumer issues as a legislator. All of us who are legislators in public office constantly get individual requests for help. And many of them fall into the category of how do you right a wrong. And Jim has proven over an extended period of time that he has been particularly engaged in dealing and solving those issues. So I have a tremendous confidence in his ability. So he brings to this position his generic intelligence and ability, specific knowledge of the law, and a legislative record that's exemplary. And those years of experience in the legislature will make him much more workable as he deals with the legislature on issues within this department area and proposed improvements. So I think on every level possible, we're very happy to have him come on board. His assignment begins on Monday, the 26th, and hopefully he will be able to outline some of his priorities both today and then as he goes forward. So let me introduce the new Director of Consumer Protection, the Honorable Jim Maisano. Jim.
Thank you, George.
Nice to see you, sir.
Thank you, Ken. Well, it's very cool to be standing here with my former colleagues. The Board of Legislators is doing pretty well as we move forward in the county. I had great experiences with the two chairmen. A few battles, but lots of great times with both of them. Matter of fact, every time George gets a new position in the county, I do really well. When I got elected the first time in the county legislature, George was elected chairman of the board at the same time. And he gave me a committee chairmanship, my first time, which I'll always remember. And now George's county executive, and I've given this tremendous opportunity. And I can't even tell you how excited I am about this opportunity. 21 years as a county legislator, the best professional experience of my entire life. But I'm ready for a new challenge and a new experience. And I'm so thankful that George and Ken and the administration have given me this opportunity. And it was incredible that George reached across party lines to show that really the most important thing is the County of Westchester. We have a fabulous county government, and everyone, Democrats, Republicans, Independents, should be working together to make this an even better county. And that's what George is doing as county executive. He's bringing me as part of that, and I'm absolutely thrilled. And it's bittersweet. It's hard to resign after 21 years as a county legislator. I love the job. I had great experiences as the vice chairman and minority leader. But I worked on lots of legislation, and ironically, when George and I were discussing the job, I read the Consumer Protection Code, and I read all the laws that are part of the Consumer Protection Department. And ironically, I voted for a lot of them. I was very surprised to see how many laws that I will now be in charge of enforcing that I voted on. And I remember sitting on the committee meetings and going through the laws and seeing how we would enforce them in the Consumer Protection Office. And John Gacchione was always at the table and is a tremendous public servant. And I really look forward to working with you. It's going to be a great experience. Now, what George says exactly right. As a county legislator, we're all kind of consumer protection advocates. We have members, many people here that have served in the county legislature. You all know a huge part of the job is consumer protection because the constituents call all the time with their concerns and their problems, and we kind of have to help them. And we've directed a lot of people over the years in my office to the Consumer Protection Department, and they've done a great job. Seniors. The number one phone calls you get from constituents about consumer problems are seniors. They are confused. They are battered on a daily basis with false messaging, scams, including my mother-in-law, believe it or not, who gave her Social Security number on the phone because she didn't understand. And I'll never forget that experience, something I take to this job, that there's a lot of seniors in Westchester that are getting caught up in these scams. And I look forward to working with John and the Consumer Protection Department every way possible to deal with identity theft and stop these scams. And anything we could do to get, sometimes if we can't stop the scammers, at least you get the information out to educate people about what's going on and what not to do. And particularly, again, seniors need that. Some of the goals of the department as I take this new job, of course, as I said, protecting vulnerable populations and seniors, using my attorney skills, which are going to hopefully come in handy, being an attorney, not only attorney for 20 years, but a litigator, an estate practice. I do estates and probate, so I've dealt with seniors a lot too. And I know a lot about municipal law, more than most attorneys. Haven't been a legislator. Toxic toys. That's a law that we passed on the Board of Legislators that I guess there's been some legal problems. I'll be speaking to John about that. I'm enforcing the law, so we're going to have to fix that and make it better and make it enforceable because it's a really important issue to protect our kids. Helping consumers find the lowest prices on gasoline. Another law we passed on the Board of Legislators. That's an important part of the job. I look forward to working on that. Again, I have to tell you, it's very cool to have voted on this stuff. And now I'll go to a department where I get to enforce the laws I voted on. That's probably got to be one of the best governmental experiences anyone can ever have. Reaching out to immigrants. We learned over time that dealing with the Immigrant Protection Act, something I was a sponsor of, still working on as of this date. Unfortunately, my time working on law winds down in about a week. But George, can I still help on that law? Sure. All right, great. Thanks. George is going to let me keep working on that law. But we know about how vulnerable our immigrant population are, the challenges they have, and certainly we're going to find ways in the Consumer Protection Department to reach out to immigrants and help them. And lastly, one other thing that I've been really good at in my career, if any of you are my Facebook friend, I am a very active person on social media, sharing my experience as a legislator with my constituents and the people of Westchester on social media. I want to take all those skills I have working with the administration and the Consumer Protection Department to use social media and the internet as ways to promote the office of consumer protection and to help consumers. I believe we're going to overhaul the website to make it better. One idea I floated to George, and he said yes, is have a running blog. We have a daily communication with the people of Westchester about consumer issues. So as you could see, I'm already bubbling with enthusiasm. I can't wait to do this job. It's going to be an incredible opportunity, an incredible challenge, and I'm ready to hit the ground running and go to work. And thanks again, George. This is an incredible opportunity.
Welcome aboard. Hang on just for a second, let's correct you. Deputy County Executive Ken Jenkins.
First, it is a pleasure to be standing next to my good friend Jim Maisano. You know something, one of the things that we learned across the board in the vision of County Executive Latimer in making sure that we're bringing the best and the brightest to be leaders for Westchester County. Jim Maisano and I have done so many things together on the Board of Legislators. We'd have all kinds of inside jokes about how people don't recognize how much the legislature always works together for the betterment of the people of Westchester. This kind of an appointment from County Executive Latimer is in that genre that says that we are bringing the kind of individual in Jim Maisano who not only worked on the laws, negotiated the laws. In fact, he is so tenacious in going out and finding information out to make sure it's the right thing that's happening. I'm looking so forward to working with my good friend Jim as we continue to do the things in the vision of County Executive Latimer, making Westchester work as best as possible, given the limited resources that we have, to make sure that everyone gets the service that they deserve. And it's just not the consumer protection side. John Gaccione has been awesome in the weights and measures side to make sure that things don't happen when you go to get that gallon of gas is actually a gallon of gas, and making sure that in the supermarkets and those kind of things that when you got that pound of beef, it really was a pound of beef, or whatever things are happening there. Licensing, whether the licensing law that we worked on together, whether it's for landscapers or for any kinds of things that the consumer protection make sure the people of Westchester are getting the best. So I'm looking forward to this, another awesome appointment by our county executive. And Jim, welcome aboard.
Thanks, Ken.
Okay.
George, just one thing I want to add to Ken, if I may. If you want to generate some revenues for the county, you should see Ken and I debate the county charter. You could sell tickets to our debates on the county charter. They're really good.
Well, we'll see if Section 1 wants to sponsor that. Just a couple comments and then take any questions that you have. And I appreciate, what Ken has said. I said this when I campaigned. I said this in my transition period. I said it during my inauguration, and we continue going forward. The only standard that matters for the people that we bring into this administration is that they be talented and they have the ability to materially advance the interests of the people of Westchester County. We have been able to attract people with the skill set of John Nona, a private sector outstanding lawyer with a public sector interest, to be our county attorney at a fraction of what he was compensated. Joan McDonald, who's been a state-level commissioner in 2 separate states, attracted to join this administration. In appointing Jim Maisano, I've appointed the best person I could find for this position. His party affiliation is not relevant to me. He is a Met fan, and that's a good thing. In a county of Yankee fans, we Met fans have to hang together. But in all seriousness, crossing party lines is not a problem for me, and I look forward to working with Republicans and Democrats. In fact, I think we have to double down on the standard of Westchester County, which is we will not fall into the trap of Washington, D.C. and to Albany, in which we let party affiliation be a situation that turns people from working together into enemies. And these are difficult issues we have coming up all across the board in a variety of other areas. We've added people to our team that bring diversity. Aviva Myers is with us now. Crystal Collins is with us now. We've had people who have been with us already for a few weeks, but we're still a new administration. We're still a young administration with a lot to do. So I look forward to Jim's contribution. I look forward to working with the Board of Legislators. I think both of them made an important point. And you'll see a lot of people involved in this administration that have either been or worked at the Westchester County Board of Legislators. I'm the executive now, not a legislator. But the Board of Legislators, for 50 years, has been a source of outstanding public officials that aren't really known by the press in both parties, because you focus on the executive, and the executive is the above-the-fold, attention getter. The members of that Board of Legislators in both parties represent some of the finest public officials we have. Many of them who are in or not in office currently are going to be part of this administration in one shape or form or another, and you will be surprised and impressed by what that contribution is going to be. And I would just encourage the media, this is the other branch of government, pay more attention to that Board of Legislators. They're talented, quality people downstairs, and together we will move this county forward, executive branch and legislative branch together. With that thought in mind, we'll take any questions directed to Jim if you'd like, or Ken and myself.
Do you think that the department has kind of been living up to its responsibilities in recent years?
Well, remember, I've been here for 21 years, and I've seen the department do excellent service throughout the 21 years. I remember Gary Brown had this position, who did a terrific job, and John, who's here today with us as well. I think that the department's a little understaffed right now, and I think something I'm going to be lobbying, like I lobbied on issues on the legislature, I'll be lobbying to make sure we get a fully staffed Consumer Protection Department so we can really review and fight for the people of Westchester. The only way we can protect the consumers of Westchester is to have that office fully staffed. And I think something they like to brag about in the office, I'll brag about it, that's an office that pays for itself. By going out and getting the fines and finding wrongdoers and finding people that are hurting consumers, it pays for itself. So the more staff we have, we'll pay for that staff, we'll bring in more revenues to the county, and we'll protect people.
Let me just add a thought to that as well, Mark. I think certainly that department and almost every department in this county government has been understaffed over the last number of years. We've discussed the philosophies and the policies. But there's another element of it too, and that is the willingness by the ninth floor to give executive departments the freedom to own the product of what they do. And the other problem that goes along with understaffing is what I consider to be too tight a rein on the leadership of departments, to restrain departments from being creative in the way they see their roles and their jobs, so that Jim and John and the members of that department will have the ability to look and think of ways to improve what they do. We have just walked in the room our Director of Operations, Joan McDonald. Joan has managed in the New York State Department of Transportation, an entity, a bureaucracy if you want to call it that, twice the population, twice the workforce of Westchester County's total workforce. And Joan understands how to create an environment where the directors of departments and commissioners we'll have greater responsibility, greater authority. And the combination of those two things is going to make it better for the press. You're going to be able to deal directly with department heads and commissioners on topical issues which they become the experts of. And without having to have a tightening grip around the throat of commissioners, but still being led by somebody who understands what that right balance is between direction and giving authority. And I think that, along with staffing, will help this department realize things that they've wanted to. It has had great leadership in the past. You mentioned Gary Brown, Elaine Price, who was supervisor, Diane Keene, who preceded me as a county legislator in my district, were all very good leaders in this department. And I think with Jim Maisano, we have a person who is going to add to that leadership record. Any other questions?
Yes, for Mr. Maisano. Do you expect a Republican to fill your vacancy now in the legislature?
I have no idea. That decision's up to the voters. The great people of New Rochelle and Pelham, who I've loved for 21 years and still love today, they're going to have a tough choice. They're going to be, I don't even know who's running. But there's going to be an election, and the people make the choice.
And since I can't stop from butting in, this is more of information rather than an opinion. Every level of government has a different way that a vacancy is filled. You've spent a lot of time looking at the vacancy from my prior Senate seat, and that the governor would call a special election and so forth. The Board of Legislators vacancy works differently at this time of the year. If we were closer to a general election, the board would be able to appoint someone to serve in the position until a general election. Given when this vacancy is now, it is totally the province of the Board of Legislators to decide when the special election will be held. So it's the chairman, Ben Boykin, and the members of the board that will decide the date for that. Whenever that date is determined by the board, that will trigger the special election. As an executive, I have no authority or responsibility in that. And I will repeat what I said earlier. This position does not come with any expectation that Jim Maisano is going to be anything other than what he is politically and otherwise. This is because Jim is going to come in to do this job within this administration, and I would make sure that point is well understood. This is not an expectation of anything other than that. Other questions? Unless we've saturated the topic. Anyway, thank you for your time. If you'd like to talk to Jim one-on-one, he's available for that as well. Thank you all.
Thanks.